Hello, good morning. It is High Priestess Jamila. Happy Friday to y'all. Um, I just thought about something that I wanted to come on here and talk about real quick. And I think that we have all possibly made this mistake. Um, but I think that sometimes it goes a little too far. And, I don't want to say I've been guilty of doing that, but I have came on to YouTube and discussed certain things about my personal life, in particular my family. Hey, good morning, Stefan. And you know what? I've done that. And you know what? There was so much confusion. There was so many lies, so much emotional stuff that was happening. Okay. But if you guys notice, that was several years ago, and I am a grown woman. And if I were still, my mother has never, ever, ever done anything to me, honestly, to make me have hatred for her. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Parents are not always gonna be 100% perfect, and I totally understand people out there that have suffered greatly because of their mother's neglect or either abuse. Okay. So I get it, right? And I honestly cannot say that I have went through that. And there was a few incidences where cuz my mother had brothers and sisters, and I got along fairly well with my aunts and uncles as a kid. There was times when but all in all, as a grown woman, is it something that I would I think that here's my opinion of it. I think that when you come to social media and you're not creating a space where people can actually heal, but rather you're creating a space of hate so that people cannot heal, because hate and anger destroys, it doesn't heal. If you're doing it constructive, if you're being constructive about it, which I see a lot of channels um, that do talk about narcissistic parents, um, and many of them are great, you know. But there's the channels on here that they have for years created a space of hate, okay, utilizing their anger from their childhood, and then even creating gang stalking and harassment. And then this is really something that is happening within the Black community. And it started with Tommy Sotomayor. Okay, it did, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I began being stalked on the internet by all sorts of icky types of people because of that dude. And it was with one very respectful response video where I told him, why are you going around the internet claiming that Black women don't love their children? I'm a Black woman and I love my children. I would destroy someone over my children if it were necessary. I basically was coming from a place of love and have been getting stalked and harassed, death threats ever since. And everybody knows that Tommy spoke about his mother and he started an entire campaign, an army of very angry people. In fact, I can imagine that with some of these people, I can imagine that they're being manipulated big time. The viewers, the people that are watching these people. And then there's a few others. It's good to speak about family issues and trying to create a space of healing for people who have had abuse. But when it turns into a place of death and decay, and where people are not being, they're not getting better, they're just being turned into this army of trolls who are constantly being put in a state of negative emotion where they cannot heal themselves. They cannot move forward in life. Now, here's my whole thing about it. When you are a vlogger or an influencer and you are projecting so much anger about such a sensitive topic, right? Because y'all know I've came on here and I've spoken about family curses and I've spoken about certain things, you know. But it's very irresponsible for someone to attract a bunch of people that have had abuse in their childhood and constantly trigger them and overload them with this anger so that their anger can rise up and so that they can become very self-destructive. And that is a problem. And see, y'all can ask any of my clients that come to me, because I have clients that have issues with their mother, and it's never being done from a perspective of ignorance and hate. It's handled very delicately. Okay, now we know that there are some mothers out there that are awful, horrible people. But then again, there are a lot that are not horrible people, right? Obviously, right? Probably a majority of the cases. These Some of these vloggers on here are are literally creating these armies of hate to come after people. I know that for me, I don't even put my babies in social media anymore, uh, because I actually started out as a family vlogger. And there was a few times I spoke about my frustrations about my mother, but it wasn't to the point where I was like, oh, my mother did this or my mother did that when I was a child, and my mother let people, have their way with me, or my mother did this or my mother did that. Because, but it was more so just me discussing, certain things. And as an adult, as I grew and got older, and me and my mother worked those problems out and healed from the situation, because of these these hate groups, that's what I call them. They want to see 24-hour, 7-day a week hatred for a black woman, a black mother, and they don't, and it's kind of ridiculous. And I feel that some of these people are mentally ill. If you are still screaming and hollering and you're in your 50s or 60s about something that your mother did, you should not be on YouTube. You need to be at a therapist's office. And I'm not trying to tell somebody what to do, but I don't agree with that. You just constantly washing, rinsing, and repeating the same thing over and over and over again when you really need to go and get some help. And that's the same thing I was saying about Tommy Sotomayor for years. They kicked him. He got banned from YouTube. It all started, and he spoke about it. As a mother, I've given birth to 4 children. I raised all of my children, okay, with the assistance of their fathers. I do have more than one child's father. It just, and my children have always been the most important thing ever, which is why I don't put them in social media. And because I'm a black woman, because of these black vloggers on here, instead of them going and getting medical attention and treatment and maybe even some medication, they're turning on their cameras, and because of their hatred for their mothers, they're using words like black bitch so that they can attract people who are probably racist, who are probably prejudiced, and they are creating these armies in social media, and it's ridiculous. It really is. It's not the world's fault that you're angry at your mother. It's not my fault. It's not all of the innocent people. Like, for example, I was talking to you guys about this crazy girl over in California. Okay. She was very angry at her mother about something. And you know what she did? Instead of getting some help, she was in social media harassing mothers and their fam. This is what these people are doing. Instead of them getting the proper psychiatric treatment for their anger and their problems, they come to social media looking for mothers that are in social media, asking them, inquiring of them, even if their channels are not about their children, and then stalking and harassing them. Why don't listen? I want to say this to these people. You are making a huge mistake, and you're not helping people heal. You're not healing yourself. You are going around in a circle, in a cycle, and you're just creating hell in social media and in people's lives, especially your own. If you have issues with your mother, any kind of issues, any kind of, because a lot of them do. Most of them, y'all know that I have issues with a few people on here. Okay, 2 of them black women, several black men. Okay, they not only do they have family dynamic issues, but then it's spiritual issues mixed in there as well. Instead of these people getting the proper help that they need, they've come to social media to attack me as if like I'm not your mother. And I'm telling these people, go and get some counseling and therapy. People in social media, don't have to deal with your crap from your mother. It's been going on for over 10 years now. How long does it take? I wasn't even like in social media, y'all. They tried to, like, of course I grieved for my mother when she passed away, of course. But really they tried to disrupt the grieving process of my mother. Had people people that run their mouth too much, because when my mother passed away, I did not want people in social media to know. I had people telling people all up in the business trying to, be stay cozied up to my family. Found out that my mother passed away. When my mother passed away, I was not like I was allowed to grieve, but I was harassed and attacked in social media because these people have there's nothing sacred to these people. And my mother has never ever raped, abused me, or done anything to me. In fact, she was a sweet person, very kind hearted. They tried to paint a picture of my mother that was exactly like theirs. And I'm like, no, no. And so I had to, like, literally, I couldn't even get support because there was so many people that were like, well, your mama said your mama did, your mama that. These people really need to check their behavior in social media. That's still someone's mother. And you know what? I will admit, I will admit that in my journey on YouTube and dealing with these people, there have been plenty of times where I've gotten very angry at these people because I'm tired of the crap. Okay. And I've told them straight up and down, your mother did something to you and you need to deal with it. Now, some of them are in straight up denial when it's obvious. If you're stalking somebody in social media and you're a male and you're literally being a disgusting pervert, we're all going to look at your mother. Everybody in the world, when you behave that way, is going to look at your mother. So there's been times when I've been like, your mama must not have been nothing. And you know what? I may have been wrong for saying that. But I'm talking about the people that regularly make videos sparking emotion and anger that should have been healed by now. But these people are following around these people that have no idea how to heal. And all they're doing is triggering people, triggering anger, and then targeting mothers in social media. Some of these people that had single moms that raised them that probably didn't have a lot of patience, probably didn't really know how to raise kids, the way that I feel that kids should be raised, which is really in an environment where the child can actually grow and you know what I'm saying? But instead of them going and getting some therapy and seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist for their issue, they're coming to social media harassing people. And I just think it's ridiculous. Grow up. Grow up. You have no idea how to heal your inner child. You're still screaming and hollering about your mother, and you expect for people to respect what you're doing and respect what you're saying when you're screaming and hollering and damn near crying over it. Listen, you need therapy. You need therapy. You can't provide anybody any type of spiritual healing because you're 50 or 60 freaking years old and you still have not healed. How are you going to come on here and tell people how to heal when you yourself have not healed? Everybody, trying to hurt everybody because you're hurt. And everybody is supposed to listen to you and take your advice when you're on here screaming and hollering and when people say, hey, I've come to a place of peace and healing and understanding, and then you're trying to wound people. What and it just, it's so annoying. And like I said, it started with that Tommy Sotomayor dude. And some of these women literally have followed his lead. And I think that a lot of those people, because I'm sorry, you know what? I'm not sorry. You are not qualified nor have the authority to come on here and give anybody advice about their mommy issues, because mommy issues are serious. Those are very, very serious issues. I think over in one of these states just recently, this 19 to 20, I think he was like 19 to 20 years old, literally murdered his mother and set her on fire. Do we know the whole story behind that? No. He must have, there had to have been some anger on some level for something. Something had to it. It's a story behind it, okay? Imagine somebody growing up and maybe they didn't have the best upbringing, and they may even still live with their mother, right? And they come to social media and stumble upon one of these people, and all they're doing is inciting hatred towards, oh God, I'm so happy he's gone. And it was a lot of, hey Unica, it was a lot of people, even women, that began to follow his doctrine. It's ridiculous. It really is. A lot of these people with anger issues towards their mother, like, some of them are blatant with it and some of them are more covert as far as the hurt that they have towards their mom. And instead of them actually getting the help, they're on here trying to seek a therapist in social media. And you can't do that. You have issues. You have deep seated issues, mommy issues. Go and get help. That's why you're out in social media attacking people. A lot of these men out here, I don't know what it. That's the same thing that's wrong with P Diddy. That's why he did a lot of the stuff that he did. There's these men in social media. They're constantly trying to sexually harass women, sexually abuse women in social media, and they obviously have mommy issues, obviously. Okay. And instead of them getting and seeking therapy, they don't have to do it. You know what they can do? Instead of them doing it, what do? They do things that are self-destructive. They come to social media and they join these stupid groups of people where they're being brainwashed on a regular basis and being taken advantage of by some angry woman or angry man that probably should be in a mental institution by now. I mean, my goodness gracious. And I respect freedom of speech. But you know what? When you are in social media, you are an influencer. The relationship between mother and child is very precious. It has to be handled with care. And some of these people, a lot of these people, are not qualified at all to assist you, to assist a lot of people to work through those issues. Because you know what? When that time, when you come to that platypus where you are actually dealing with your mommy issues or issues with any parent, that has to be handled. If you're going to seek spiritual refuge for that, It needs to be handled by somebody that has a spiritual level head, not somebody that wants to keep you wounded. These people want to keep you wounded, and that's all they're doing. By the time, if you have mommy issues in your mid 30s, by the time you're in your 50s, of course, if that's what you speak about, you should speak about it diplomatically, and not to where it's all this anger and emotion and you're triggering people on purpose. Okay, especially when you don't have any kind of degree, you don't really know about basic human psychology. You just running around here wild and woolly, willy nilly, triggering all these people's emotions. There have been people with mommy issues that have murdered their entire families. And a lot of these people, instead of them coming to social media and being diplomatic about it, they are exacerbating the issue and then calling themselves some kind of spiritual expert, and they not healing nobody. They're just making the situation worse and harassing people. And even some of them from their group will try to create memories that don't even exist. You know what I'm saying? So it's really starting to get really annoying. Same thing goes for people that vlog about sex, but they don't have a healthy outlook on love or sex relationships. They'll come on here, hi, I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. Hey, I want to make a video. Hey, your woman, she could kill you. She what? Whoa. Whoa. What? Like where the what is going on here? How do you go from love relationship to the extremity of death and destruction in one sentence? So if you have a generalized negative outlook and people watch your content, okay, that's fine. But you know what? You're harmful for people. You can't appropriately give love advice when you're not even talking about love. Some of these people, I wish that I had a few examples of for example, I do have an example. For example, some of these men on here that they've been in bad relationships with a bunch of women who cheated on them, or or either it was like a sneaky link or some crap, and they come over here and try to give relationship advice based upon banging some hooker in the back seat of a car. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, and it's kids out here watching this stuff. You don't know anything about love or romance or relationships. You're coming from a perspective of somebody that, and so it's the same thing. You coming from a perspective of somebody with a very ignorant, lower vibrational opinion of love, and we're supposed to all listen to you and say, yeah. Yeah, don't be with that woman if she can't handle you calling her out of her name and slapping her around, and she gonna get out of pocket. We got pimps, we got wannabe pimps on YouTube trying to give love advice to people and trying to convince people that it's love. I believe they should be banned from social media. There should be no pimp wannabe or somebody that is, with an IQ less than 20, that should be allowed out here, where kids are listening, giving their somewhat warped opinion of love, and what they talking about ain't even love. Yeah, that's all they talk about. And yeah, we've all came on here and spoke about, I've had my negative experiences in relationships, and of course I've talked about it. Do you hear me talking about those negative experiences now? No, but you know what they say, we're going to try to create a negative experience, and I I say, oh no, you're not. And they just constantly, and then it turns into, ain't none of these men or women no good. Hashtag trust no one, and bada boom bada bing, and that's what we supposed to that that's what we supposed to and sis, I don't like these so-called relationship gurus out here, like Kevin Samuels. I didn't like him. He was out here straight, like I didn't like that one dude either. I can't think of his name. Derek Jackson, I think is his name. Uh, you know at the time, you know what? I don't really have a lot against Derek. At the time, though, that I did, let me take that back. At the time that I did have something against him, it was because I was dealing with a very warped, very, very dysfunctional man, and I kept making excuses around it. And I did. I kept making excuses. I will admit to that. And I kept normalizing the abuse and the fact that I was involved with this incredibly toxic situation that ultimately I finally escaped. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want to, sis. I don't want to take love and sex advice from a pimp, or I don't want to take love or sex advice from certain people with a certain sexual history, because they're going to have a different perspective of it. They are. A man that has only had relationships with, like, sex workers and stuff like that, and he's in the sex industry and all that stuff, and because I, y'all know the situation with me. I have a bunch of perverts. They're drawing pictures of me, painting pictures of me, painting, sticking my head on it. You know what I'm saying? And they're very perverted, but that is because they can't come from a perspective of somebody like me. They don't have the capacity of any kind of romance or love, and so it's all about, pimps up, hoes down. Like, I've never ever 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 lived that way. My parents were married, and even if they weren't, my mother was. Yeah, no. So what are they doing? Why are they trying to force their opinion and their energy surrounding love and sex? It's almost like they've infiltrated social media, and they're trying to force their opinion down everybody's throats, and we're supposed to just listen to these mentally ill, crazy, psychotic people who we would never date or deal with for more than 5 minutes. If you found out how crazy, they can act out of the blue, you're gonna be like, oh my God. Right, right. And you know what? It's nothing wrong with, like I said, sex is good, but it's got to be in the right energy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for example, I don't really want to talk about the spiritual aspect of it, but, I've had the evil I thrown at the people personally in my life, and somebody that knows about energy. I went ahead and did what I had to do and binded the hell out of people, binded them within an inch of their soul. Okay, like seriously, like we had to go down to the crypts to bind some of these folk because the evil eye was real. But is it something that I'm gonna discuss in detail in social media? No, I'm not. I'm not a child. Whatever I deal with in my personal life, I can handle it offline. In fact, y'all, I honestly, when I started this channel, I did not want a lot of that personal stuff because number one, I had already healed and dealt with that stuff. I didn't really want to discuss that, even though I have discussed family curses. I have discussed it to the perspective of to give you guys an understanding of it. There's tons and tons of videos on this channel where I've spoken about it, and I do speak about it every now and then because I feel like it's good for people to know so that they can know the symptoms and the signs and what they be up to and all of that stuff. Okay, like seriously, but as far as like all of that, there's for example, let me think of the video that I did. I just did a video yesterday where I was speaking about and thank you for the love on that video, y'all. I was speaking, what was I speaking about? I had forgot. I was talking about spiritually how it's a part of my soul contract that can't nobody use me as a scapegoat or a sacrifice, as well as my children and my grandchildren generationally, and my loved ones. And then it's also in my soul contract that I do have the authority spiritually to free people that are being scapegoated upon and sacrificed. You know what I'm saying? So I was speaking about that. And so that is something that's very negative. But what's also included in that is that, you guys know that if that's the case, because that's not fair. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Somebody just decide, hey, I want to use this person as a sacrifice. Yeah, it's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Oh, you want to act like the boogeyman or the boogie woman? Okay, let's handle this person. you know Back to what we was talking about though, when it comes to mother and child relationships, even if the mother just ain't about crud, like and is you know, it still should be a certain type of person that is giving any type of advice or energy on that. If you were a person that grew up being abused by your mother, you need to be careful about who you take advice from when it comes to that. That's a very delicate situation. You are very delicate. You yourself are very delicate. You have an inner child that needs to heal. If you are seeking spiritual healing for that, a lot of these people that's out here still don't know what to do with themselves because of it. And you know what? That's a lie when they say that a person, because I can honestly say, like, I was talking to my son. I'm gonna tell y'all this story real quick, okay? When I was in grade school, I went to I think it was, no, it wasn't grade school. No. I was in middle school. And my shop teacher had me put on my goggles, and he had me take my glasses off. And he said, "Here, I'll hold them in my desk." Before I left class, I asked him for my glasses back, and he said that he did not have them. I go home with no glasses, and I tell my parents, and both of them, they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. For some reason, they did not believe me that that teacher did something with my glasses. And that was something that, while back then, as a young child, it hurt me back then that my parents did not believe me. But was it something that I carried through into my 40s and 30s? No. And it was like several weeks went by before my glasses got replaced. You know what I'm saying? Am I saying that my parents were the worst in the world and they didn't get me glasses right away and they didn't believe me and it traumatized me? No, I'm not. Now, that may have had a different effect on somebody. And so I was telling my son about that the other night. And it's just one of them things, you know what I'm saying? I don't, and we was actually talking about how going back, way back to elementary school, way back. Sorry, my internet's going in and out, y'all. Way back to elementary school. Oh my God. Just some crazy experiences. Just straight up toxic. You know what I'm saying? Am I carrying it with me into my 30s and 40s? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Maybe it's because I figured out the way to actually heal from that stuff years ago. Typically children can be very resilient. So maybe that was why I just didn't carry it with me. But there were some experiences that I had, like at a babysitter. That stuff, I'm just now healing from that. Did I come out here and take it out on anybody? No, I didn't. Take it out on somebody for what? Take it out on people for what? What good is that gonna do me? You know? And it's bizarre, man. It really is. It's bizarre what we're dealing with out here in social media. You know. You know what? I'm honestly, Unica, I don't know why people got something against lust. I would love for my man to have love and lust for me at the same time, like a balance of it. It ain't no wrong with lust, you know. Every time I look at him, I be like, damn. Even when I look at him from far away, I'm like, there's a sexy person standing over there. Like, I can just tell from far away that this man is sexy as hell. Anyway. Oh, let me stop. Anyway, um, yeah, no. Listen, um, some of these people are triggering these people, and they're turning them into complete maniacs. And if you seriously had some kind of abuse in your childhood, go and see a therapist, please, before it's too late. Right. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not into that. I was curious, Unica. I was curious about BDSM years ago. Eh, I had a bad experience with it, and I will never, ever, ever deal with it again. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, yeah, no. No, because and it just seemed like to me that is something that gives some people an excuse to be abusive, and I just don't want to experience that. Yeah, no, yeah. But yeah, sacred lust. Yeah, I agree with that. So, some of these people, they really, they need help themselves. They need to go and see a therapist themselves. They screaming and hollering, and that's supposed to be your power. But in reality, you're not empowered. You're hurting, and you need to go and see somebody about that. That would be just like Tommy Sotomayor. You ain't be just screaming and then the next thing you know, he would repeat things over and over again. Black mothers are abusive. Black mothers beat their kids. Black mothers are this and that. Black mothers do this. And people be like, yeah, yeah, preach it, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, huh? What the like? What? Whoa! This is not appropriate to be discussing in social media. If you don't create a breeding ground for these people to hell, they can't get no help with their problem through you. Some of these vloggers are creating an environment where these people are gonna freaking snap out and lose their goddamn mind, and I think they're doing it on purpose. I think they're doing it on purpose. I do. People get lost sometimes, and I know how they are because I've been a victim of that. Okay, I got stalked and harassed through the whole 9 months of my pregnancy with my youngest child, and then even stalked after that. Harassed, death threats, all of that by people that have mommy issues that instead of social media, they need to be at a therapist's chair, at a shrink. Right. They do, Unica. They do. That I swear they do. And I don't care if you say, and I'm sorry, my internet is going in and out, y'all. Coming to social media, that doesn't give you an excuse to come to social media and be a bad influence on people. You're grown. You need to be more responsible than that. I remember I was dealing with a dude, and I know that I knew that I shouldn't have been dealing with him, but I felt bad for him. But there was this other dude that would come to social media, and he would egg on arguments between me and him, arguments that we had already apologized for, came to the conclusion because what old boy would do is old boy would come on here and he would be disrespectful to me, and then I would be like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not going to take that crap. And then because of that, the other dude would go live and say, well, Jamila was disrespectful to you because she didn't let you abuse her. And then he would be like, yeah, you was disrespectful. I'm done with him. But you know what I'm saying? How do you as a grown man allow social media to influence you in that way anyway? How do you do that? How do you weak minded? Don't do that. And trust me, I was doing some very powerful work and to help this person. And one day he actually called me and threatened my life out of the blue. So that was just how he was. That was just who he was. you know, and so that's why I don't, yeah, I don't deal with him anymore. But you know, a lot of these people out here, it's like, and what is up with them? Like it, and I feel that it started with Tommy because they still talk about him. They do. They still talk about him a lot because he was like their daddy for a while. He was like their daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and no, you can't expect to come to social media and find a replacement mommy or daddy. Stop that. Get it together. I can imagine that some of these influencers have influenced murders and suicides and deaths. I can imagine that they have. They have, and they know they have, and they have an intention of doing that. They have an intention of doing that. I've had one of these men when he knew I was involved with somebody. He was the only, this dude that I was involved with, and this is the goddess to honest truth. I would never lie about this. I never was with any other man except for him. I had been celibate for years before I linked up with him. And there was another man in social media, at least for a whole entire year, every other day, coming online, going live, and trying to convince the dude that I was dealing with, who was already on edge, who was already very insecure and psychotic. And he kept trying to tell this man that I was sleeping with someone else, and I never was. Every single time this dude would tell him, she cheating on you, man. You think she only with you, man? You great. And I'm like, yeah, but I am. You know what I'm saying? He drove this other dude crazy to the point where he was like, yeah, I got cameras in your house. It's like, cameras? Why? I'm not a slut. Why would you need to put cameras in my house to watch me? Like, what in the world? Needless to say, like I said, I ain't dealing with that dude no more. Cause anybody that allows another person to control your mind like that, like, you got to get it together. For real, get it together. You know, don't be no fool. Yeah, and so he was. And you know what I figured out? And I believe this thoroughly about a lot of those people that are in that group that was like a sub group of Tommy. Uh, I believe that they were purposely trying to get me murdered just because they mad at their mama. And what are they doing in social media and not at a therapist chair or either in jail, one or the other? Because, you know, some of these men, they fall in love and, you know, I would hope that I would never experience that, but come to social media and somebody talking about their significant other and lying and saying that she cheating, and the next thing you know, and he would argue with me every single time. Like, how do you get wrapped up in, like, how do you just, what does he do, pull you into a vortex or something? Like, what in the world? And then a day or two later he'd be like, I know you're not doing nothing, I got upset. Needless to say, like I said, I ain't dealing with him no more because he was weak-minded. And I only brought that up as an example because it was very, very real. The emotions that he was experiencing, like he would talk to these females, and these females they just troublemakers, you know, they just troubled people, want to start trouble. And one day he called me and he was yelling and screaming at the top. I mean, I had to, first of all, I had to hang up. I said, it was so much anger and toxicity in the screams and the yelling, and he was just going nuts because this female had somehow, within a 5-minute conversation, had somehow convinced him that I was a lesbian and I didn't want him and I actually wanted a woman. He called me screaming and hollering at me. I just went ahead and hung up and I called him back, and I told him, I said, can you please just relax and calm down? What is the matter? So and so said this to be a daughter. And I'm like, oh my God, are you? And those were actual real emotions that dude was experiencing. I actually had people I've had clients, Unica, contact me. I've had people contact me and tell me that their man changed ever since they started watching Kevin Samuels. So people got to be careful out here. Like some of these people, their channels can be very devastating because they're doing things purposely to do harm. They just want to see people hurt. They want to see something. They want to see, yeah, saying that, yeah, man, and I was like, wow. A couple of people they was like, and you know that I'm having a relationship around. You know that ever since my man started watching Kevin Samuels, on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, I know who he is. My man he's literally his whole personality has changed, and he. Then you got these men out in social media telling other men that all women are whores and that they're cheating on them and did it to me, and I'm definitely not a cheater, definitely not a hoe, and definitely not a cheater. This is something that is a well-known fact about me, that I'm not sneaky and conniving. I believe that he was trying to convince him of that because he wanted to see if he could get him to kill me. I really do. So y'all got to be careful with some of these people in social media, because some of them are trying to trigger you into depression and sadness when you should be handled with care anyway, especially if you had some kind of childhood abuse by your mother. People should be handling the situation with care. Okay. And sometimes, exactly. Sometimes a lot of these men, they do need tough love. They do need to be told, hey, quit abusing me. Your mama did this to you. You know what I'm saying? Women will come from that perspective sometimes. But if you are a teacher or an influencer and you're taking sensitive topics and you're using them just to trigger people to do stupid stuff, it's obvious you're exposed and you need to be expunged and expelled. You're not giving them people any real valid solution. You know what I mean? Hmm. Nobody that had any kind of abuse from their parents, especially their mother, should have been online watching Tommy Sotomayor. Nobody. Because all he did was drove them even more insane. And that's exactly what his intention was of doing. Am I lying? And I don't care, because I'll do work on him. I don't care if he watching right now. I'll do work on you, Tommy, because you ain't right. Okay? So, hey. So, some of these people need to shut up. Go see a therapist and be quiet. Can you imagine dealing with somebody that done came on here and watched one of these people, and they come home and they just like, like, what's wrong with you? I just got done watching a live stream on YouTube, and I think you cheating on me. What? What the? I've been home all day, and I've been through that in real life, actually. Ooh, and rest in peace, my ex. Rest in peace, my baby daddy. I got two daughters with him. His sister would his sister would constantly try to tell him negative stuff about me. Told him that our first daughter was not his. The child looked just like him, had the nose and the mouth, everything. She came out too light skinned. I'm like, what? Like, child. And he found out about what, 3 years later, that both of them kids was 99.9% his. He came to me crying. I'm so sorry. I said, well, it's too late now. I said, I ain't kidding back with you. Because you probably knew it at that time, but was using that as an excuse. And some of them use it as an excuse, though. You got to be careful. What's your excuse today for being abusive and in a bad mood? Yeah. Right. A shaman or organic healer. Yeah. Well, you know what? Us shamans and healers are good for that. But there are some cases where I have had clients to where I have referred them to a therapist, and I continue to be their spiritual coach and continue to do work for them, and the work helped. But a lot of them have went through so much extensive abuse every day in the home that they did need to see a therapist, and along with seeing me, you know what I'm saying. So and I don't, seriously, but it depends on what it is that you've been through. If you've been through systematic abuse every single day, to where your mother had to have been mentally ill. What in the world? And that's something that you went through daily. Yeah, yeah, it's good to see both. Okay, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist. If you have, because there is something by a therapist, because a therapist may recommend something, not necessarily. Internet going in and out, internet going in and out. Some of these sociopathic narcissistic people, they do need to be medicated, and they don't really talk about narcissistic people and how it probably would be best for them to be medicated. And because if it's a person that has these impulsive behaviors, to where they're coming to social media and they're creating an environment and an army of people to go and abuse others and to be abusive and to hunt people down, those people probably need to be on some lithium or something. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these people need to be at probably even institutionalized. Yeah, it keeps it keeps going in and out. I'm sorry about that, because I can see it because my VPN will flash. So I apologize for that. Trust me, I know all about it. I've had every psychopath that needs to be either institutionalized, jailed, like not every one of them, but I've had a group of them who clearly need some help. Now, when my children were being threatened, there would be times when I would come on here and I'd be like, "Hey, listen, straight up and down. I'm a, if anybody keeps attacking my children, we gonna have you gonna have not we, you gonna have a serious problem." Okay, there was nothing wrong with that. Okay, I mean, 10 years later, obviously, I'm handling things differently because there's been growth since then. I didn't, that was not that, those energies was not anything in particular that I was used to dealing with. So my first thought process was to come on here and let these people know and cuss them out, because these people were stalkers, and because of their abuse as children, they decided to instead of dealing with that and going and seeing a therapist, what they would do is they would project their own childhood memories to my children that was never happening to any of my babies. But they would project it to me and then file false defects reports and stalk me. So, like for example, I was listening because my spirits will watch them, because whenever you have a group of psychopaths following you around, it's good to keep an eye on them sometime. And my spirits have always let me know what was going on. So years ago, there was one of the guys that, they just love to take advantage of mentally ill people. This person called into this person's show, and you could tell that this person was very, very mentally ill. And this person called into their radio show and was screaming and frightened and said, "Oh my God, she's got him hidden in a closet. Why? She locked him in the closet. She locked Jacob in the closet. Oh my God." This happened. As I'm listening, it wasn't acting. It was a childhood memory, apparently, that this person had of being locked in the closet. My children, ain't none of my kids ever been locked in no closet. I don't need. Why would a closet have a lock? I ain't even never lived in no house that had locks on the closet, dude. I'm like, what in the world? And the guy that instead of him saying, "Hey, listen, I don't think that that's what's happening," instead he decided he wanted to further make her more upset. It was very bizarre. And I've heard one of them just recently claim that she was having a vision of someone else, and she did a live stream, and she knows who I'm talking about. She got up, she did a live stream, and she was having an episode, and because that's what it was. Okay, it wasn't a psychic vision, it was an episode. Okay, because she actually said it during the stream. I'm feeling like I want to call the police. What? You're mentally ill. You're not a psychic. Oh, I'm picking up on what this person went through when they were abused, and I want to, and I just want to call the police right now. Huh? No, you need to call a therapist and go get some help. I listen, I've had many, many, many psychic visions. I've had a lot of psychic experiences, and I've been psychically attacked hundreds of times. Not one time have I ever wanted to call the police and file a false report. What are you going to call the police and say? P. Diddy is attacking me. Okay, 911, Puff Daddy's attacking me. What? Puff Daddy's in prison. No, I'm having a episode where I think I'm Cassie. Okay. No, that's not. No. No, no, no. I'm sorry. You're mentally ill. Get some help. Get some help. That's all I gotta say. Like seriously. Like, come on now. And that I've spoken about this several times, to where there's a thin line between being mentally ill and having a psychic vision. Sometimes it's a line. Okay, and some of these people ain't having a psychic vision. Some of these people, I mean, it's not to say that that person can't have psychic visions, but that person still has like some kind of mental illness or a psychological break, to where that, because you know that, and what was really crazy is that they have a group, right? And they listening to me. I don't and they really need to listen and go see a therapist. So what they'll do is they'll go back and forth with each other, right? And if one of them roasted the other one worse than the other, they're dialing 911. If somebody on the internet that says something about you that you don't like prompts you to dial 911, first of all, you need to get yourself out of that situation, period. What are you doing in that situation to begin with? Clearly, you're not emotionally sound enough to be going back and forth with somebody on the damn internet, arguing with them. And the next thing you know, they calling the police. Oh, and claiming that that person is stalking them, even though their whole entire platform don't want nothing to do with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Leave me out of it, because if I say something to you, no matter what I say, is probably gonna hurt your feelings. They want to down it, like for example, if I say something to them, they, or if I debunk their lies. So for me, is when I debunk their lies that they tell. I'm calling the police because Jamila proved that I was a liar. So we need to call the police on her and say that she stalked us because we spreaded a rumor about her that she proved was not true. Now we need to go and seriously. Now we need to go and file a false report against her because she proved that what we said about her was a lie. So we're upset now because she just ruined my show. I did a show that was contingent on people believing this incredible lie about her, and because she debunked it, we need to drop revenge porn on her, harass her, lie on her, and then call the police on her or or file a false CPS report against her. So that's pretty much what the gist of it is with that. When it's weird. So, but and a lot of those people came from these same people. It's just ridiculous. And that's how Cynthia G got deplatformed because she got lost in it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have nothing against Cynthia G. You know what I'm saying? I can definitely see that, what the sister, what she could have did different. Well, I think she either got demonetized or deplatformed. I think she got deplatformed. You know, that's just like we got to be careful watching these vloggers that their whole platform is set up around dissing and degrading black people. Like, what does being black have to do with it? Like, we can point out certain things that mainly affects the black community, but for us to just condemn every black person, that's hate. That's hate. You know what I'm saying? It is. It's just you're just showing hatred for that race, which would make you a hate group, against a protected class of people. So then we have people, we still do have people running around the internet based upon that whole premises, which black people allowed to happen. We got people running around here thinking that it's okay to discriminate and do nothing but hate and attack black people on the internet. And tell them that they're on welfare and they should be sterilized because they're black, just because they're black. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And you know what's crazy is that from what my spirits tell me, my spirits blame social media. My spirits blame these owners of these websites for allowing it to go on. Because the moment that started happening, hey, street poet, these people should have been deplatformed and said, hey, this is hate speech against blacks. And they did nothing. They just kind of sat back and just let it happen. Okay. In fact, I believe that that's why it fell in my lap, because I'm top flight security of the world, Craig. And see, and I will always be meant to destroy that and to help innocent black. There's a lot of innocent black people that are just trying to live their life. Goodness gracious. They don't abuse their kids. They're not ignorant. They're not trying to do all that. They're just trying to live. Because they shouldn't have stuff like that can't go down on TikTok, though TikTok don't play that. You're not going to be able to do that on TikTok. So, YouTube, they can come to YouTube and, they literally have hate groups. They actually, YouTube is kind of like a little free for all, because they actually have these hate groups against, they're called anti-natalist. So they don't believe that people should give birth at all. They feel like the human race should just stop procreating and just die off. This is what these people think. Okay. Do I think that any anti-natalist should be in social media? No, you're obviously depressed for that. Like, you do have freedom of speech and you have the right to feel how you want to feel. But when you come to social media, that's where the buck stops. You can't do that. And these anti-natalists, the videos that they're making, these people that are watching that are like, life is horrible, life is bad, you live and you die, and you go through struggle and it's pain and suffering, and nobody should give birth. Those people are actually harassing pregnant women on this website. So then why should they be allowed, these anti-natalists, why should they be allowed to have a platform? How do you even come up with a concept so ridiculous? An anti-natalist? That's crazy. We got enough problems. Oh my God. You know, I kind of woke up yesterday morning. It's just, I don't know what it was yesterday morning. Right, exactly. You're right. It is. Look it up though. It's very bizarre. Like, when you go and look at their videos, it's like, wow. And they sound so depressed. And then if you tell them, hey, you realize that you can change your reality. Oh, I don't want to hear about that hocus pocus stuff. The human race should just die off and no woman should be giving birth. You're abusing your child by bringing them into this horrible world. Like, wow. You know, I can honestly say that I went through things growing up. Does that mean that I don't want to live or wish that I never existed? No. Okay, so that's just that's just weird to me. And a lot of these vloggers, when they create a platform that is set up around that, then they're attracting the people and they're getting these people, and they're not helping the situation, when those people really should be again seeing a therapist, or either trying to find some kind of positivity in this world and trying to get this figured out. you know Now, y'all know that I'm a very anti-religious person. I am. I I don't want to say I'm anti-religion, but I will point out things that are wrong with religion. But the reason why I do that is because it's kind of like, when you look at Christianity, it does kind of say that you're born in sin, you suffer, and then you die. And that's it. That's it. That's all. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, and I'd be careful, because what is it? Is it an alien? Like, I'll be like, what are these people? I don't know. I don't watch it. I don't watch stuff like that. I watched Emmy, made in Japan. She made 100 layer lasagna. And it was a very interesting video. You know, some of these people, they speak from such a negative perspective. And I got to go, y'all, because I got to get some stuff. Yeah, I got to get some stuff done. Because, I got some things going on this morning. So I got to get going. But yeah, man, going back to the whole mother thing, like, that's like a sensitive topic. I like when somebody be like, your mama, and people get sensitive, people be ready to fight over their mama. And so you got to be a person that's going to be a good influencer if you are, if otherwise you're just coming on here triggering people and getting them all mad and upset, and for what? I guess there's some people that are like Dr. Evil. They just like to have evil intentions and let it flourish, just, hi, I'm here to give you negativity, to the third, about a very sensitive topic, and they do exploit certain topics like child abuse. Everybody ain't qualified to come on here and talk about child abuse because it's considered to be exploitation, and that's all they're doing is exploiting the whole thing and triggering people and making things worse. It's called YouTube, not you know uh fake psychologists you gonna be a solution for people's problem, and the solution for them is being angry and lashing out at people constantly. And that's supposed to be power for you to lash out and lash out against people all the time, or even worse, hold a grudge against somebody for several years because they disagreed with you. And then play around with magic. Y'all need to look at that video that I did, though. I'm going to talk more extensively about this, about how people will disagree with somebody, and then the next thing you know, they done made up this whole fantasy in their mind, and trying to justify going and getting a doom candle and lighting it on somebody. Okay, so a lot of witches, they're yeah, no. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So you got to protect yourself out here in social media. Anyway, y'all, peace and love to y'all. I'm going to get out of here. I got to go. I've been over here for about an hour and a half, and I got things to do. So I will check y'all at a later time. Okay, just be careful with some of these people, because some of them truly need to be institutionalized. Okay. And they just they have evil intentions. You know what I'm saying? And I know that, I lost my mother in June of 2021. It has been something that I wish was not in social media, because it's been a difficult process. It has, and it's, because it's one of those things, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'll check y'all later. Okay. Peace and love and blessings to y'all. Thank you, Street Poet. Blessings, guys. Bye bye.